I'm something on my lip. Scooby snacks. Um, I'm back and I'm proud of myself. I didn't take like a whole hour in between these videos. This is another retrograde video. This one is actually the Uranus retrograde video. Uranus, Uranus. It's definitely not Uranus. I could tell you that. I say Uranus. Some people say Uranus. That's the planet we're talking about today. All right, so speaking to this planet being in retrograde, it is the 5th planet to join the retrograde cluster of 2021. To speak quickly to what a retrograde is before I get into the specific energies for this planetary retrograde, a retrograde is an optical illusion. It's actually not the planet spinning backwards, or I guess on the screen I would need to go that way. It's not the planet spinning backwards. It is an optical illusion. It's when a planet stations, stops, pauses, and passes back over degrees that it's already went over, and then it stations and goes back in the other direction it was going in the first place. With regard to the energy, I consider retrogrades reflecting correct periods, because you literally get to pause and take a look back at all of the things that you've done over your path, over your efforts, over your actions, to see if you did everything right, so to speak, or if you need to make some changes, you need to alter or shift some things. Okay, this time around, again, we're having Uranus in the retrograde. We're having the retrograde in Uranus, or we're having Uranus retrograde in Taurus. That's the sentence I was trying to get out. This planet governs change, specifically unexpected change, freedom, and individuality. And Uranus does also speak a little bit to expansion, but with more emphasis on exploration, if that makes sense. So this planet is in retrograde in the sign of Taurus, the bull. And one thing about this retrograde, Uranus is not in the best spot this time around. It's in its fall, and that means that the energy here is going to be a little bit more difficult to work with. So let's get into the specifics of this retrograde. It's starting on, and I'm so proud of myself. This retrograde is starting next week. It's not starting 3 months ago like the other video that I just put up. It's starting on August 19th in 14 degrees, and it ends on January 18th in 10 degrees. So slow moving planet. We've got about a 5.5 month period of retrograde, Uranus in retrograde, and it only moves about 4 degrees. So speaking to the bull energy, speaking to Taurus energy, Taurus is the bull. Taurus is sensual. Taurus is romantic. Taurus is dedicated and diligent and loyal. And on the shadow side, Taurus can be kind of lazy. Taurus can be a little stubborn and a little self-absorbed. Oh, and Taurus is also a generous, that's not shadow energy. Taurus is a generous energy. So there are actually only a couple of points that I want to speak to with regard to this retrograde. Again, it's an outer planet, so it doesn't have as much of an effect on us in the physical immediately as, say, like Mercury or Venus or Mars. The first note that I have here, speaking to Taurus, and again, that bull, earthy energy, we're going to be reflecting and correcting on what's being forced in our lives. And because we're dealing with an earth sign here, we're looking at foundational things. So with regards to career, for a lot of you, this could have something to do with how you handle your finances. It could have a lot to do with your dwelling space, like where you're living, like your housing. And also for a lot of you, it could be relationships. I know when we speak to relationships, people just attribute it to love, but relationships are foundational. So we're also speaking to relationships as well, especially with Venus ruled Taurus, okay? So over this period, going to be looking at what's being forced. Where is your energy going that you really don't, and you don't want it there anymore? Or where is your energy going where it's not needed? Or where is your energy going where it's not wanted? Not necessarily you don't want it there, but is there somewhere where you're putting your energy and your time and your work and your effort and your love, and that space or that person or that place doesn't necessarily care for it anymore? These things are going to be popping up over the retrograde period, and because Uranus is in its fall in Taurus, it is very possible that the things that pop up with this retrograde energy could sting your heart a little bit. Okay, Taurus it's an earth sign, but Taurus, I like to call Taurus like the water of the earth people. the earth people, the water of the earth signs. Because Taurus, being ruled by Venus, Taurus does have a lot of that feeling energy attached to it. So where are things being forced? Is there a job that you're working and you just keep putting in work, and because you at one point had decided you wanted a promotion or something there, you wanted more money or something there. Over this retrograde period, you might come to a point to where you realize, well, the reason I'm not moving forward is because they don't want me to. So this is forced. I'm going to put my energy in here. Or you might be in a relationship, and it might be a relationship you've been in for a long time, and it's something that you're comfortable with, and something that you've accepted, like, oh, there's flaws here, but this is who I'm going to spend the rest of my life with. But over this retrograde period, you might be like, wow, I'm not in love with you. Ooh, wow. This is force. I don't really want my energy here anymore. So with regard to foundational things, reflecting and correcting what's going to be coming up, where are you putting your energy where it's not needed? Where are you forcing your energy, or where is your energy being forced, being pulled from you where it doesn't need to be pulled? The next point, and not the last part, not the end of the video, but last point, has a lot to do with change and anticipated change. And we're going to speak to the Taurus energy here. Taurus is earth sign energy. While they like to work and they are very diligent and they are very dedicated and they get shit done, when they are operating in their shadow energy, they are lazy. They are lazy. They don't want to do nothing. They like to kick it at home on the couch eating cookies, right? So what's going to be happening here over the course of this next 5.5, 6 months, 5 months, however long this retrograde is, it's, I think, 5.5 months. Coming to these realizations of these things that we've wanted to see in our lives, these changes that we've wanted to see, and seeing where we've been a little lazy and been a little lethargic. If you watch my videos, you've probably heard me say, don't block your blessings, don't be your own obstacle. Uranus and Taurus does show us where we've been our own obstacles, especially in regards to the things that need to be changed in our lives. On the other hand, another thing that is going to be coming in for us are the things that we don't want to change because we are comfortable in them. Like going back to what I was saying about like the relationship aspect. If you could apply that to career, money, foundational things. You could apply it to all of it. Going back to what I was saying there, being in these spaces to where you're like, I don't want to move out of this energy because I'm so comfortable here. I don't really want to be out in the world looking for a new partner. I don't want to be out in the world looking for a new job. I don't want to be out in the world taking financial literacy classes. I don't want to do none of that. Like, I'm comfortable here. Uranus and Taurus, retrograde. Okay, you might be comfortable, but being comfortable at this point, anything that needs to be shifted, if you're comfortable in it and it needs to change, it becomes a detriment to you. And we're dealing with Uranus, so a lot of sudden, unexpected changes happening with regards to these things. So especially the things that I was talking about where I was like, oh, but you're comfortable there? Enjoy it while you can, because over these next few months, something's going to be going down in those areas to get you to see the light and to start shifting things and making changes in your lives, okay? There are a couple of really good aspects that are happening with this retrograde. Trine Mercury and trine Mars, so harmonious energy there. And Mercury is the planet of communication, short-term travel, and mental and intellect, right? And then Mars is all about our natural instincts and movements. So with this retrograde trying these two planets, we're going to be in these spaces to where we're really feeling like we want to get into these spaces that we actually are passionate about, that we really want to devote our time and our energy and our effort to, that we really want to be loyal to with that Taurus energy. And also because this is the planet of unexpected things, and you've got that trine to Mercury in there, which is short-term travel, and Mercury also deals with like companionships. If you read like old astrology books, it'll say like sisters and brothers and neighbors, but they're talking about like your friends and your companionships and your acquaintances. So very possible that you guys are gonna, not you guys, all of us, chance encounters, chance meetings, chance situations, ending up in like random places that you didn't mean to end up in, but those occurrences putting you in these positions to, or putting you in these positions to where you see these paths to these doors of opportunity. Now again, this is a retrograde period and it's an outer retrograde, so the energy is a little bit slower. So while you may not actually be presented with the opportunity during this excuse me, I was gonna say during this process, during this period, you may start working on it. You may get a little bit more mixed and mingled up into it, and then by the time that the planet stations direct, you'll start to see why you ended up in these random places, why you had that random conversation, why you have this random person's number and they hit you up like every 2 months on a Tuesday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon about something that you're like, what? But you still entertain it. By the time the planet stations direct, this person could be like, oh yeah, by the way, every time I hit you up, I keep forgetting to ask you if you want to be a part of this project or something of the sort. And it's some stuff that you're like, oh shoot, that's why I have your number. That's why I met you at the mall. That's why I saw you in the bank and we just had that random conversation. Like, things like that are going to be happening over the course of the retrograde period. And you may have the instances in which you're like, I don't even understand why I'm having this encounter. But be open to it. Be open to it. Process it when you leave. Now, don't put yourself in no crazy situations, but you'll start to see and understand why things were transpiring over this time period once we get out of it, okay? This retrograde is starting in 14 degrees on a 5-day. So that is 5 energy all around, all about change and transformation. 5 is not a subtle energy, you guys. And we are not dealing with the subtle energy with Uranus. And we're also not dealing with the subtle energy with it being in its fall in Taurus, okay? So things are going to be getting shaken up on an individual level, in regards to our foundations, and also on a collective level. Over the course of this retrograde period, especially with everything going on in the world, like, we're about to hit some crazy times. You guys, we're in a 5 universal year, by the way. Ooh, you know what? Let me put that note down there so I can remember to put a card in the video so y'all can go watch that video. The 5 universal year, I talk about what that energy means and what it's bringing in for us, and we have been seeing what I was talking about in that video. But it's all about change. Excuse me. Start talking and I lose like all my breath. And I didn't speak to this earlier, but with this being an outer planet, us reflecting and correcting has a lot to do with our inner work in regard to external circumstances. So, on a collective level, there's some shifts that are going to be happening. All of these realizations and epiphanies that we come into with regards to our own foundations, and I spoke a little bit to this in the last video, or the last retrograde video, but you know, sometimes we forget how much of an influence our energy actually has on the collective. And when we start to come into these more progressive spaces individually, these more abundant spaces individually, these more knowledgeable spaces and aligned spaces individually, and everybody in the collective is doing the same thing, the collective energy gets to ascend. This particular placement tells us that we're in a position to where the collective is not, ready to ascend, and nor do I think we would be allowed to ascend. So, with that being said, there are going to be some shifts and some changes and some crazy stuff happening on the grand scale, on a world level, but on an individual, and you know, you guys will be okay. Just, you know, stay protected, stay strapped, stay positive, stay peaceful, find your peace when you need to find your peace. But on an individual level, there are major changes that need to be made in our lives, and these are changes that we've been a little hesitant towards making, or changes that we've been seeing obstacles being placed in our way in front of them that are going to be popping up over the course of the retrograde period, that we're going to have to reflect and correct on, do some work, do some thinking, do a little bit of maneuvering if it's called for, to figure out what we need to put ourselves in these spaces to where we can really be free to live our best lives. Again, remember, this planet is associated with freedom and individuality. So good stuff coming by way of the retrograde, even though the energy the energy is going to be a little tough to work with, and just depending on your chart, that can tell you like how it's going to affect you. It's ending on, or ending in 10 degrees on a 7 day. So you got the energy of the number 1 there, manifestation, new beginnings, new chapters, independence again, amplified by 0. 0 amplifies any number that it appears with. And then the number 7 being the number of truth and philosophy. So the things that we are changing and shifting over this retrograde period are really putting us in this space to really be truly aligned, okay, on a spiritual level, a physical level, and a mental level, okay? All right. That's all I got for that. I already talked about this being an outer planet, so I'm not going to hit that note right there. If, as I said just like a couple of seconds ago, if you want an idea of how this retrograde is going to affect you, you can actually go online to Google and type in natal chart current transits, and then pick one of them websites, plug your information in, and you're also going to want to plug in the dates that you want to look at. What did I say here? August 19th to January 18th are the dates that you want to put in, or the date, one of those dates in there you want to put in. And you can see where the planet is moving over your chart. Typically when you look up these charts online, your chart's in the middle and then the transits are on the outside. So take a look at where you see Uranus on the outside and then look at what house it's passing over. You can also look at the aspects that it's making to your natal chart. For instance, Uranus is passing over my 2nd house, which in regards to, you know, career, comfort. I'm sorry, Uranus is passing over, I think, my 3rd house. The Neptune is over my 2nd. So my 3rd house is, you know, my communication, intellect, my perspective, short-term travel, things of that sort. So me, I'm probably going to find myself in some random places over these next 5 months. I just left a job where I traveled for free, and I'm like, well, I don't know how much traveling I'm about to be doing in the next couple of months, but by way of my chart, the way my chart looks, I might be in some places and some spaces. And when I take trips, I'm going to be meeting people and coming into these opportunities and setting up stuff for myself that I'm not even going to realize that I'm doing. I'll probably also be in a position to where I make some changes to how I deal with my finances and how I save money and how I make money, which that we're already kind of looking at that there. Sorry, I moved into finances, but communication in regards to putting you into places for opportunities. And my opportunities are by way of communication because my field is communication. I write. So anyways, I did go on a tangent, but that's what happens when you start to look at the transits and look at how they affect your natal chart, and you get to see how all of these energies start to play out. And so I also started putting a little bit of the Neptune retrograde in there with what I just said. But, you know, look at everything that's going on so you can get an idea of, you know, an idea of what's going to be playing out for you. And not to say like tell your fortune, but you can get an idea of the energies that will be coming in for you and how to maneuver them and how to harness them and how to make the most of them. Okay. My shadow is, I had a fly in here earlier, or actually was that a fly? Maybe I did see a fly because I looked and I thought that was my shadow. Anyways, sorry y'all. Okay, let's get back into the video. So people who are going to feel the most change or see the most change or be the most affected by this retrograde, when people with Uranus retrograde in their charts. However, typically when you have retrograde in your chart, when you hit the retrograde period, if you're doing the work and progressing the way you're supposed to be, it can actually be a pretty easy flowing time for you. It just depends. But people with charts ruled by Uranus, people with a lot of Taurus placements in their chart, or Taurus placements, or like strong Uranus aspects or aspects to placements in Taurus, especially if they're in your personal planets. Excuse me. 11th house aspects. Also, people with a lot of fixed energies in your chart. And if anywhere you have 10 to 14 degrees in your chart, 6 or 7 degrees either way of those numbers, you can expect to see some change related to the areas that those planets or those houses govern. And that is all I got for you guys. I mentioned all the retrogrades. We got hella retrogrades. I do have a retrograde series, which I will link shortly because I'm streaming this live. What else do I want you guys to watch? I'm putting this up in August, so August tarot forecasts are up for all the signs. I also have the Leo new moon video up. I also talk about the Lionsgate portal being open in that video. And what else? I don't know, y'all. Watch whatever's linked in the description box. If you are still here listening to me talk and you liked all of this information, do me a favor and please give me a little thumbs up. It actually does help my videos become more visible on YouTube. And if y'all was listening, freelancing for myself now and running my business, so monetization is good. So if you guys could just give me the little thumbs up, I would truly appreciate it. Also, if you enjoy learning about astrological transits or getting free readings, go on and hit the subscribe button. I put up new stuff weekly, monthly, all the time. And if you have any questions about this retrograde or about Uranus or about Taurus, feel free to drop them in the comments. I check my comments every few days, so I will come in here and answer them whenever I see them. And I think that's all I got for you guys. Thank you for tuning in. I will catch y'all next time. Peace.